Good morning, all my naughty nymphs, perverted pimps, and everybody else not sitting on a pillow. You've reached the flip side. I'm wearing my VFW Post 5617 shirt that I bought, and of course it says flip. And here, y'all can see all that. I'm not sure. It all depends on what YouTube's doing as far as the data amount and they're allowing people to video with. But and on the back, well, let's see, there's a mirror over here. Somebody was throwing away this mirror. Ow. And we'll see if I can get into position. I got my knees messed up, so I'm having an issue. But I've got that letter T, so it's all went. Tell you what, we're gonna go inside for just a second. I've got a mirror that's up here on the wall, but we'll see if you can see the back of it. There you go. Yeah. Well, I just, it's early morning. It's approximately a little after 6:30 a.m. And I just want to say hello and how you doing. Hey, here's the back side of my, see if you can see it, back side of my flip side thing that I made. Of course, I haven't painted anything yet. And, of course, I did put a video out of asking all my friends here on the west side or anywhere close enough, we're bored, stuck at the house, wanted to get out to come to a help project to maybe if they had some paint, bring me some paint, if they, whatever, do projects, come to my property, and nobody showed up. Well, of course, I didn't just hang out here all freaking day either. I got tired of waiting for nobody to show up, or, I put out my phone number on a video and put out the address. And the same thing when I had my yard sale. I did videos on my yard sale, and, I have no idea how many or if any people that are my friends on Facebook that live here on the west side. Nobody I know showed up, except for, I did put some bitching. I say bitching. I did do some videos where I talked about how I'd sent some text and stuff like that to my commander at my VFW, and asking him to ask all of our members, and any and all that he could to see if they could come over here and help a veteran in need. And it took almost a week for him and another individual to finally show up, and then he had excuses as to he was doing stuff and didn't have time and all this other crap. And then, of course, shortly afterwards, when I went up there to the canteen right before this whole coronavirus shit happened, was, when his wife and the officer that takes care of all the money, the quartermaster, were in the canteen, and the day before, his wife that works as a bartender, she told me that the Constitution has no effect, or has no what was it called? It has nothing inside the VFW or the canteen. And of course, the next day I went up there with bags of dimes and nickels, because at that moment that's all I had. But I had about $50 worth, and they were all rolled up in $10 rolls. Not rolls, but in little plastic bags. $10 worth of dimes, and I think 4 bags, and then $10 worth of nickels in 1 bag. And she was working there, and she said, well, you're going to have to ask the quartermaster. And I asked him, he said, we don't want your dimes and nickels. Didn't even buy me a drink. Could have bought me a drink. Hell, I bought him a lot of drinks. Now, and of course, I went outside, did a video, said how awesome my VFW was, showed the outside of it, and then told people about the truth, about the First Amendment, the right to freely speak. And of course, I didn't say anything about the stuff that happens when we have our meetings. I talked about what happened when we were in a public environment. And it is a public environment, a canteen, because we allow anybody and everybody to come on in. So, oh well, it happens. Shh, throw that shit in the front of the it. Shit happens. I don't know if y'all can see me good. There we go. I had about 4.5 hours sleep last night. I had a friend of mine from Europe that sent me a message on the messenger, the Facebook messenger. And, she haven't talked to her in a while. And she, wanted to know, make sure I was doing okay. And told me I need to get some rest. I think the night before I only slept about an hour, a little over an hour. And it's just, sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a nap during the day. It all depends on what's going on. It all depends on what I'm doing, where I'm going, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like I'm exhausted still. I even had 4 hours of sleep, and I didn't even wake up once having to go piss. Yeah, that's what happens when you get a little older, especially if you drink some water or whatever, or even some alcohol or whatever it is, and you go to sleep, and then you wake up about an hour or 2 hours later, you got to go piss, and then wake up an hour or 2 hours later and go back, have to go piss. Oh, old age. Oh my gosh. And I'm only 50. I've told y'all I turned 50 on the 7th of March, and I partied like it was 1999. It was all before this Corona crap. And first bar I went to, I had a friend of mine that he was my chauffeur. Got him a chauffeur hat. I told him we should have got him a T-shirt that looks like a suit. Some of y'all might remember that. And I rode around in his vehicle, and I sat in the back seat on the passenger side, and he drove. And then I told him, I said, hey, at least one time we're going to pull in over at a bar or over at the VFW or something. And then you step out, walk all the way around, open the passenger side back door, and let me out. Like a chauffeur. I was wanting to do a video of it. I didn't have somebody to do the video, unfortunately. But, excuse me. Oh, allergies. It fucking suck. But I'm out here outside on my porch in my Flipside saloon that, of course, I have not got any paint yet. And like I said, I did a shout out asking for help from anybody and everybody I know that live close, live in a town that's close or whatever, was bored, want to come hang out with me during the day. I was going to cook food. They had to bring their own chairs and their own alcohol, of course, because it's always BYOA. Bring your own alcohol or bring your own ass. And I think I already said that. Bring your own chairs. I've got a couple of chairs, but I don't have enough for a lot of people. And come help me get some art projects completed. I figured, it'd be fun to do it. I'm going to do it myself, but I thought it would be a blast to have some of my friends, to come over and help me complete these art projects. And maybe, just maybe, like, because I'm out of paint, I don't have any paint, if they've got some paint or they just, interested in going and, I guess, procuring some paint, that Texas flag or American flag, blue, red, white, and black. I need a gallon of each. And from art projects, one for the biker bench, that I'm going to take over to Starlight and hopefully when the bar's open again, mount it in the smoking section, which is outside because Fort Worth passed that stupid fucking law forcing the business owners to not allow people to smoke inside when in fact the owner of the business should be the one to make that choice and decision. I want to have a non-smoking environment. I want to have a smoking environment. It should be their choice. It shouldn't be the governing bodies forcing their rules and their ideas and their thoughts on the owners of their own property and their businesses. Whether they own the property or not, it's irrelevant. They own the business. And, there's people that still like to smoke and drink at the same time. And there's people that don't like it. Well, the people that don't like it can go to bars where they don't have it. The people that do can go to bars that they do. It's that fucking simple. It's not the governing bodies. They shouldn't be passing stupid, unconstitutional laws telling that the business owner have to do it the way we tell them to do it, or we're going to charge them a whole bunch of fucking money for doing it. That's fucking bullshit. Oh, well. Shit happens. It happens. Shh. Throw that shit in front of the it. Shit happens. All right, let me throw on my specs. And, it sucks. Oh, my gosh, almost 10 minutes. It sucks. I had better than 20/20 vision. Now, of course, at my age, it was getting, it wasn't getting as perfect. But, I didn't have to wear glasses to see shit I've texted or reading a book or anything else like that until I had that motorcycle accident where my front lobe of my brain bled for 24 hours. They put me in a deuce coma for a week and a half. And then my eyeball shot left and right for over 6 months. And, yeah, traumatic brain injury. It's a concussion is what it is. A major concussion. Major concussion. And that's not the first time I've had a concussion. Over the last 30 years, I've had at least 3 concussions. One time I was working at a convenience store over in Eastland, and I went inside the cooler and I was stocking up all the beer and everything, and then I heard the ding ding when somebody was coming in, and I ran real quick, and I'd had a case of beer sitting right there by the entrance, and I jumped over it and I hit my head on the top part of the entrance to the cooler, and I fell backwards, hit the back of my head on the concrete floor. Oh man, it knocked me out for a second or two. But I ended up getting up. The customer came, somebody I knew, and they helped me get up. And that was my first concussion. And then I was at 2014. I took my wife, that seemed to be ex-wife. I took her up. Her daughter had given her second grandson. And it was in December, and I took her up a 1,000-mile march, so to speak, up to Minnesota to go see her new grandson. And when I was up there, it was about 9 p.m. on I don't remember exactly which part of the week, but I was going down the highway. I'd already dropped her off at the hotel with her 2 dogs, and I looked down and was looking at what my speed limit was really quick, and I noticed I was going the right speed limit, and I looked up, and I thought it was a bus turned sideways on the highway, because they had one of those machines that set up that tell people information and shit like that, and they were doing a test on it, and the whole thing lit up bright. It didn't have anything, just the whole thing lit up bright. Well, right then and there, the moment I looked up, I thought it was literally thought it was a bus turned sideways on the highway. So I turned real hard left and then real hard right. And the side of the vehicle, it was a 2005 Trailblazer, was sliding down the side of the metal between the two distance, the highway going west, the highway going east, and I think I was heading eastbound. And they had that metal wire, to keep people from going from one side of the highway to the other. And the side of the vehicle was on it. And then it was literally immediately was where it bent down, went into the ground, and then it started doing concrete. Well, the driver's side front tire hit that part that goes down, and it spun me 180 degrees immediately. The plastic airbag didn't deploy because it didn't hit the anything that would cause it to do so, and my head hit the windshield, put a big egg hole looking like a goose egg, or no, bigger than a goose egg, like a, oh shit, what's those giant birds that sit there and they put their head down, like an emu or something like that. But big old one. I hit hard, and I was wearing a seatbelt, so my seatbelt didn't lock up because there was no reason for it to do so. My foot wasn't on the brake. I just turned left, right, really hard, sliding, bam, hit for the driver's side tire. It spun me 180 degrees immediately, quickly, and I broke some ribs on the steering wheel. And I remember when I stopped, I woke back up real quick, and I saw the front bumper just popped off. And I got out, and it was a pretty hard concussion. It was a pretty hard concussion. Well, somebody showed up, a medical service and stuff like that, and they, hey, do you need to go, doctor? You need to go to hospital? Like, no, I'm good. Concussion. I didn't know everything that was going on. I wasn't very specific on everything, but, a police officer showed up, and they were like, hey, you need to breathe on something. I said, well, I'm not going to breathe anything. I know my rights. I said, you want me to blow something? You blow this first. Boom, threw me on his hood, head down, handcuffed me, took me to the sheriff's was it Ramsey Sheriff's Department for their jail. And I don't think he was a sheriff's deputy. I think he just worked for the either the state or the city or whatever. He was a police officer, I believe. But he got pissed off at me, so they had a crew of sheriff's deputies that grabbed me, dragged me in, threw me into a cell on my face and chest, stripped my boots off, stripped my belt off, and left me handcuffed on the floor, concrete floor, on my belly and my face. Well, that's when I would start calling them fucktards. I was calling them fucktards before that, I'm sure, but I used my First Amendment right. I didn't do anything physical. I just used my freedom of speech, and they didn't like it. And so I started, kicking the door, and then I rolled over, got up on my ass, handcuffs still. I said, "Hey, come take the handcuffs off, you fucktards." And then I sat over there by the door and I banged my head. Of course, I honestly didn't know I had a concussion, didn't know my ribs were broke or anything else at that moment. And they opened the door and they put me in one of their little chairs, and they pinned me down, and then they left the handcuffs on. The handcuffs were way too tight on one side. They handcuffed me to the sides of the chair. That's what it was. Well, on one side, the handcuffs were way too tight. And of course, I was bent over chest wave. My knees were up. The position they put you in, it's wrong. Absolutely wrong. Putting somebody in a chair like that. I mean, that's abusive. Absolutely abuse. And they left me there for, I think, 11 hours. And I kept calling them fucktards. And I was having a hard time breathing because I had some broken ribs that were pinching on my lungs on my left side. And of course, I also had a concussion, and the handcuff on my left hand was so tight that I ended up, ripping the skin a little bit, a lot. And I did videos about that on my other YouTube channel. Did videos about talking about that because at first, when I started doing my YouTube channels about all that was happening, because of my concussion and everything, I was having a hard time remembering exactly what happened and how. It took me just a little bit to, after a few of the shows, the few of the videos, before I finally was able to remember every detail and then do some research and found out about that lighting system called the, what are we at? I think we're at too long. We're at 1740 something. Oh my gosh. But I mean, a whole lot of shit happened. And it wasn't until an actual, because I told them, I said, is this how you treat a veteran? Is this how you treat a volunteer fireman? Is this how you treat you fucktards? But it wasn't until a military, it was a military sheriff's deputy that finally showed up, and they let me out. And he said, "I appreciate your service. I'm sorry." And I was like, "Hey, it's all right, brother. Don't worry about it. I didn't tell him I was special forces. Didn't tell him none of that shit. I say shit, because I was still in dark op, black op, et cetera, et cetera. But hey, oh man, I was sitting there walking around because my ribs were broken. They kept sending a nurse in there, and I told her I'm having a hard time breathing, but they left me in that fucking chair for 11 fucking hours. And I kept calling them fucktards. And there'd be a deputy officer that'd come up and look through the window in the door. "Hey, what's up, fucktard? Is this how you treat a veteran? Is this how you treat a volunteer fireman, you fucktard?" He didn't like it. And I think the sheriff himself actually walked through, because they got a little walking area outside. That part's pretty nice. And they ended up letting me go. And of course, they'd taken the vehicle, and my wife had to go get the vehicle. And I ended up getting a couple to give me a ride to where they were there to see somebody that they had, a friend of theirs or a husband or something that was in jail. And they gave me a ride to the hotel we were staying at. And oh my goodness. But yeah, there's a whole lot in that story. Hell, I ended up, when we got back here, I ended up sending a letter to the sheriff telling him, "Hey, you need any help educating your deputies? Let me know. I'll come help you. where they can treat people with respect and, not sit there and violate their rights and not, et cetera, and not abuse them and physically harm them, and that officer that had thrown me down on his hood. And because he didn't like the fact that I said, hey, if you want me to blow something, you got to blow this first. I sent him a letter saying, I've actually got those letters. I've read them, I think, on my other channel. I think I did. I don't know. I'd have to look. But what are we at? This is another one of them long ones. Shit, we're at 20 minutes and almost 30 seconds. That's enough for right now. I do truly love each and every one of you. Truly and deeply I do. Here, let me stand up so you can see my eyes. Carpe diem, which is Latin for seize a day. Peace, and as always, catch you on the flip side. Arr!